Hi there, Tim Burt here, author of this new Christmas heist novel called Probable Claus. This year he has to steal Christmas so he can save it. It's my first work of fiction, and I think you're going to like it. If you like, it's really a mashup of genres. It's some people have said it's like Ocean's 11 meets Office Space with that kind of humor. But there's a lot going on in this book, and frankly, I was sick and tired of the traditional Christmas movies and books and all that stuff. I wanted to make Santa into something that he has never been, and that is a thief. You see what happens in this book. There was an explosion at the North Pole, and the elves walk out. He doesn't have enough toys, so what does he have to do? He has to go steal toys to make your kids happy for Christmas this year. The question is, who does he steal them from, and who is also chasing him at the same time? But you can get on the nice list right now. That's the premise of the book. You get on the nice list right now for Probable Claus, and you can do that at theprobableclaus.com, theprobableclaus.com, and working on all kinds of nice little bonuses and stuff. But you're going to get to see me. I'm going to record the first 2 chapters of the audiobook for you, and we're going to start doing that right now. I hope you enjoy this. So you get a nice extended preview of Probable Claus. Here we go. Chapter 1, The Myth. It began as most myths do, in fits and starts, in whispers that solidified into broadcasts. The image first flickered to life in 1956, in grainy, unreliable black and white. It was preceded by a high-pitched tone and a test pattern that looked like an abstract owl. The tone suddenly stopped, and a man's voice, plummy and reassuring, filled the airwaves of the 10,000 or so American families watching on their new, obnoxiously large and bulky television sets. "We interrupt this program for a special bulletin," the voiceover said. The test pattern vanished, replaced by a news anchor sitting behind a plywood desk. He was a man with perfectly coiffed hair and a smile that seemed carved from polished ivory. Behind him, a simple world map had been adorned with a few blinking, anachronistic lights. The anchor chuckled, a practiced, throaty sound. "And we've just received a bulletin. The folks at NORAD, that's our new North American Aerospace Defense Command, say they've picked up an unidentified flying object." He paused, then leaned into the camera, his smile widening, "Moving very fast, heading south from the pole. Ha! It must be the big guy himself." The image dissolved into static. The signal jumped. 20-odd years of progress. It was 1984. The room was no longer a living room, but a dimly lit, blue-hued command center, buried deep under a mountain in Colorado. The monitors glowed with green text on black screens, tracking ballistic missile signatures. A major general, his face a mask of practiced calm, held a chunky beige landline phone to his ear. "Yes, Mr. President," the major general said, his voice flat and professional. He looked up at the massive glowing map that had dominated the far wall. A single, fast-moving blip was making impossible, physics-defying progress. "Winter Ghost is on the board. We are tracking. All other airspace is—" The blip suddenly vanished. The general began to sweat as he calmly but urgently tells the president, "One moment, sir." Taking his free hand and muffling the handset's receiver, he turns to his radar monitoring crew. Frantically, he asks, "Where'd he go? Is this some kind of Russian prank?" A senior airman replied, "We lost him, sir. Winter Ghost is gone." The room goes silent. The president can be heard increasingly growing louder through the handset. "General? General? One moment, sir. We're having a bit of a situation." Ping. The blip reappears. "Winter Ghost is back, but he's a lot lower, sir. Looks like he's struggling," the airman stated confidently from across the room. "He must have been having engine trouble or something. We are monitoring. We will inform you of any deviations from his established path in years past." Thank you, sir. Godspeed, sir. The room exhaled, and the general hung up. He better not disappear like that again. The signal jumped yet again. The year was 2003. The screen was now a bulky beige computer monitor in a child's bedroom, humming with the sound of a struggling fan. The connection was dial-up, and it had taken 3 solid minutes to load the rudimentary primary colored website. A crude, pixelated sleigh bounced across a map of the world. A 7-year-old boy, pointing an excited, slightly sticky finger at the screen, yelled into the hallway, "He's in New Zealand, Mom! Come look!" The boy pointed, but the screen froze. The buffering hourglass began to spin. "Mom, it's stuck!" "It's just the phone line, honey," his mother called from the kitchen. It wasn't the phone line. On the screen, the pixelated sleigh wasn't just frozen, it was glitching. The red pixels of the suit were bleeding into the gray background. For a second, the image distorted, twisting the sleigh into something sharp, angular, almost like a fighter jet. Then, a pop-up ad covered the entire sleigh. "Great deals on iPods! Click here!" The boy furiously clicked the X. The magic was gone. He just wanted the page to load. His patience was gone. The signal jumped one last time. It was tonight. A sleek, impossibly thin tablet rested in the hands of an 8-year-old girl named Madeline. She was propped up in her bed, a blanket pulled up to her chin, her face illuminated by the cool, perfect glow of the screen. The NORAD Santa Tracker app was no longer a rudimentary tool. It was a masterpiece of 3D rendering, a billion-dollar public relations miracle. On the screen, a breathtaking, photorealistic sleigh pulled by 8 reindeer, 9 if you zoomed in on the glowing ruby-red nose of the leader, soared gracefully over a satellite map of the Earth. It was, in a word, magical. Save for the sponsored by banners and the assortment of oversized corporate logos scattered on the screen, even on the sleigh itself. Madeline's eyes were wide with unfiltered, uncynical wonder, as everything she watches online and offline is sponsored by someone or something. She watched the sleigh bank over the digital lights of Paris, a faint silvery jingle seeming to emanate from the tablet's tiny speakers. She pulled the blanket tighter, her heart thumping with that specific, glorious, agonizing anticipation that only Christmas Eve can bring. And then it stopped. The sleigh, the jingle, everything. Madeline blinked, her wonder draining into the familiar, cold flicker of confusion. A sound. Faint at first, then it grew louder, intruding from somewhere deep within the world, somewhere far beyond her bedroom. It was not a sound of magic, nor sleigh bells, or the gentle patting of hooves on a rooftop. It was the deep, rhythmic, industrial sound. A sound of immense, dangerous weight. Whoomp, chank, whoomp, chank, whoomp, chank. Chapter 2. Core Components of a Catastrophe. Christmas Eve delivery deadline, T-minus 72 hours. That sound, that irrepressible and unmistakable whoomp, chank, was the furnace trademark. It was not just a machine in the North Pole workshop. It was the machine. The furnace, trademarked, was installed in 1922 to replace Mount Holly, the active volcanic vent that had heated the workshop for 1,000 years. When the volcano selfishly went dormant right before Q4, Nick didn't try to wake it up with magic. He optimized. He capped the fountain and was forced... He capped the mountain and was forced to install this. The furnace, trademark, was a 3-story cast iron testament to the Industrial Revolution. It looked like a steam locomotive had crashed into a pipe organ and died screaming. Sitting in the direct center of the workshop floor, it was the dark heart pumping engineered magic through the veins of the factory via a spider web of massive, fluid-leaking cables. They were the tentacles to every other machine on the assembly line. It didn't make the toys, it powered the making, and it was always hungry because it ran on a dual fuel system. Its primary juice was raw holiday spirit, a volatile shimmering gas piped in from massive icebound tanker trucks. The secondary fuel source were the millions of handwritten letters to Santa sent to the North Pole from kids around the world. Nick determined in the 1930s that once the data was scraped from the letter, the paper itself was just pure fuel. Billions of handwritten, crayon-scrawled letters from children met the same fate, landing directly into the belly of a beast. So for the last century, even today, the factory is powered by an unstable gas extracted from somewhere and callously incinerating the heartfelt wishes of children. And it was at this precise moment leaking again. A fine peppermint-scented steam, the coolant, was hissing from a hairline crack in a copper valve. This valve was covered in so many layers of duct tape it looked like a robot's bandage. 3 elves stood on the gantry platform that formed a ring around its core component chamber, aka the splash zone, the most dangerous and therefore the lowest paying job on the floor. They were Flinch, Ron, and Pippin. It's supposed to have a guardrail, right? Pippin, the newbie, shouted over the whoomp, chank of the main piston. Directly above it, bolted to a vibrating steel beam, was a poster featuring a cartoon elf screaming as his hand was pulled into a machine making plush cats. The slogan read, "Keep your mittens out of the kittens." It's supposed to have a guardrail, right? Pippin asked again, eyeing the poster nervously. He pointed at the spinning 20-ton flywheel mere inches from his wrist. The orientation packet definitely said, whoomp, chank, a guardrail. Yeah, Ron the cynic grunted. He didn't look up from his diagnostic tablet, which was glowing a very, very angry shade of crimson. And I'm supposed to get dental. Management says a rail encourages leaning, Ron corrected, wiping sludge off his gauge. And leaning is a precursor to loitering. And loitering leads to unionizing. So, enjoy the vertigo, kid. It builds character. 3 more Christmas Eves. Flinch, the lifer, muttered, checking a grime-covered pocket watch. That's it. 3 more of these, and I'm out. Full pension, quiet cabin up in tinsel-free Montana. I'm going to learn how to whittle. You're whittling your life away, Flinch, Ron scoffed. You actually think the big guy's going to let you retire? You know too much, like where the coolant reports really go. Hey, I've put in my time, Flinch protested. 250 years of this? I've earned it. Ron just pointed at his slate at the hissing peppermint steam. Ron just pointed his slate at the hissing peppermint steam. You've earned a steam burn and a lungful of peppermint, Flinch. That's what you've earned. Pippin looked, horrified, at the crack in the valve. Shouldn't we shut it down? That looks bad. Shut it down, Ron laughed. Kid, this is the furnace, trademark. You shut this down, and you'll shut down everything. The doll stampers, the extruder, even the lights. Nick's air purifier? You want to be the one to tell the big man you missed the JPH quota because of a little hiss? Pippin remembered his orientation. The furnace, trademark, had at one point been a miracle of magic and engineering. That was a long time ago. Now it was a monster, held together with memos, quick fixes, and lots of crossed fingers. Pippin and every other elf was forced to watch the yearly safety training video, which include the following mishaps. 94 years ago, a brownout. The furnace, trademark, shudders, sending a low-power surge that causes an entire battalion of classic Green Army men to swell up at once and spray the assembly line with green goo. The memo read, regarding spontaneous army men inflation and optimized workflow. 85 years ago, a coolant leak. A river of sticky peppermint coolant floods Sector 4, gumming up the teddy bear stuffer for 3 weeks. That memo covered regarding acceptable viscosity levels in new essential floor coverings. 62 years ago, the glitter silo rupture. A pressure valve blew on the sparkle injector, coating the entire eastern wing. It looked like a 9-year-old girl's dream birthday party got hit by a tactical nuke. To this day, the wing still glimmers when the light hits it just right. 46 years ago, the Great Flicker. The furnace hiccups, plunging the whole workshop into darkness for 4 seconds. 400 elves stubbed their toes. 212 lawsuits were filed. All were dismissed. 24 years ago, the duct tape memo. A simple maintenance request for a new primary gasket was denied by Nick. His note in the margin, projected cost exceeds optimized Q4 budget, retrofit with on-hand materials. The on-hand materials had been duct tape. Now, Pippin hypnotically gazed at the valve. He looked to the left, where a faded, soot-stained safety placard hung crookedly. It depicted an exploding thermometer with the cheerful rhyme, "Red means dead. Watch the PSI." He looked back at the valve. The needle was definitely in the red. He could see the duct tape peeling. "That's what Glick said," Ron muttered, his tablet beeping angrily. "Looks bad," he said. "Glick?" Pippin asked, his voice small. "Glick was maintenance chief. Best mechanic we ever had. He was up on Gantry 4 trying to patch the Tinchel extruder right when the furnace, trademark, surged." Pippin's eyes went wide. "A surge?" "Yep," Ron said, not looking up. "The surge blew the lights on Gantry 4. Glick slipped and fell right into the extruder hopper." Pippin swallowed. "He fell into the extruder? That sounds horrible. What happened to him?" Ron finally looked up, his face deadpan. "He came out festive, shiny, and about 400 feet long." A new alarm blared, this one from the assembly line below them. The reindeer doll line. Pippin noticed it was running at about 50% capacity due to the power fluctuation. "Ah, sugar plums," Ron sighed. "The antler stampers jammed." Pippin looked down. A 3-legged reindeer doll was caught in the gears. "Pippin, get the stick." "The retrieval pole?" Pippin panicked. "Flaherty said we're supposed to shut down the line if there's a jam. He said that's a code red nose event." Ron laughed. "You shut down the line, kid, and the power draw fluctuates. And when you fluctuate the power draw, you risk another surge." He kicked the railing of the furnace, trademark. "You want to be the one to tell the big claws you clogged the grid because of a 3-legged deer?" Pippin shook his head. "Go on, then. I'll wait." Pippin grabbed the long, sparking metal pole, which was clearly just a standard-issue mop handle wrapped in more duct tape. Leaning over the gantry, he began nervously jabbing at the doll. Whoomp, chank. The furnace shuddered next to him, making him flinch. He jabbed wildly. He missed the doll and hit the stamper's main gear. Zzz, crack! The pole exploded in a 10-foot radius of bright blue sparks. Pippin fell backwards and was now holding a nub of charred duct tape. The stamper crunched the rest of the pole and the reindeer into shards. Ron looked at the debris, then stared at Pippin, who was hyperventilating. Flinch was busy checking his watch. Ron sighed. It was one of those deep, I hate my job and this company sighs. Get up, kid, he muttered. We're on break in 4 hours. And there you have it. The first 2 chapters of Probable Claus. What will happen next? Well, only one way to find out. I'm Tim Burt. I hope you enjoyed this little presentation, and you can get it, get on the nice list right now, theprobableclaus.com. Gotta fix my Santa hat here. theprobableclaus.com. And I really would love to hear what you think about the book and the audiobook and everything else. Thanks for being here. Merry Christmas. See you next time.